Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Kanye West. After causing quite a stir in Hollywood, Kanye then went on to disappear, and everyone's been wondering where he could have taken off to. Billboard would then later publish an article that would state Kanye's former lawyers even spent months trying to track the star down, and it wasn't an easy process as Kanye had changed his phone number in the hopes of staying hidden. After being tracked down by his attorneys, they then went on to drop Kanye as a client. Just a few weeks after, Kanye would then be caught out in the public as he was spotted with a mystery woman. But the star has tried to remain out of the spotlight as much as he can. The public has since been led to assume that the real reason Kanye has gone into hiding is because of his financial woes, and he's also been running from a lawsuit that his ex-business managers have filed. Either way, it's probably best that he stays out of the spotlight at this time. Number 9. Armie Hammer. After Armie Hammer fell from grace, the former actor would disappear from the spotlight after facing some serious allegations from his former ex-girlfriends, claiming that he had these cannibalism fetishes. And there was even some accusations that Armie made unwanted gestures towards the woman. The first series of allegations were launched against the star in 2021, but until the release of the 2022 Discovery true crime docu-series House of Hammer that was released, the matters behind the accusations remained relatively quiet as the actor retreated from the spotlight following the allegations. Armie then tried to keep a low profile, and after going to rehab, it was later said that the actor was residing in the Cayman Islands alongside his estranged wife Elizabeth Chambers and their 2 young children. At the same time, it would also be rumored that the actor was working at a hotel on the island after he was cut off from his family's fortune. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming at number 8, we have Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen. From starring in many TV shows and movies to their fashion business, Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen could be seen everywhere in the late 90s all the way to the early 2000s, but somewhere along the way, the twins just slowly started to disappear from the spotlight, and no one has heard a thing from the famous duo in years. Then out of nowhere in 2014, they would announce that they were retiring from acting, and they eventually launched 2 fashion lines called The Row and Elizabeth and James, which they still even own today, even following the controversies that followed the line. As in 2015, several of The Row's former interns took the company to court asking for payment for work they did on Mary-Kate and Ashley's fashion label. According to the lawsuit, The Row's interns were forced to work up to 50-hour weeks doing the same work as some of the full-time employees of their fashion line. Yet the lawsuit lead plaintiff then claimed the interns were also treated very poorly by the Olsen's company. Even with the lawsuit, there still isn't much buzz about the brand these days compared to when they first launched the companies, and that's probably because the clothes just aren't that nice and you pay $5,000 just to wear a sheet when you can go to Walmart and buy that sheet for $5. Number 7. Cameron Diaz. Former Hollywood it girl Cameron Diaz was on the road to have a very successful career, but then out of nowhere she slowly started to disappear from the entertainment industry, and it would slowly start to happen after fans started to claim that she was actually pretty rude to interact with. While Cameron has claimed that she left Hollywood on her own terms by telling In Style in 2019, "I've given more than half of my life to the public. I feel like that's okay for me to take this time for myself." Her statement would come just after Hollywood pretty much closed their doors on her. While the star has since been enjoying her time away from the spotlight, in 2020 she did announce the birth of her daughter, and she's been focusing her free time on being an amazing mother. Number 6. Amanda Bynes. I honestly miss seeing Amanda Bynes on the big screen because as a child, I really just couldn't wait to get home to watch the Amanda Bynes Show or any of the movies she starred in like She's a Man, Sydney White, and Hairspray. Amanda was seriously one of the most talented child stars and one of Nickelodeon's best success stories, who managed to turn that into a thriving movie career. But then out of nowhere she started to struggle around 2012 after the star was charged with driving under the influence and then charged with 2 hit and runs. She would then spend 3 years under probation. Just when we thought the star was done spiraling out of control, her troubles with the law continued long afterwards, and it eventually became clear that she was suffering from some type of underlying issues like Britney Spears endured when she ended up under a conservatorship. Today it seems like Amanda is happy and back on track as she's now studying to be a nail tech, and shortly we should see her in the salon doing some amazing work. Coming at number 5, we have Gina Carano. Gina Carano is a former MMA fighter turned Mandalorian star who angered some fans with a series of politically charged social media posts after the star made an anti-Semitic statement and paired them with American politics in 2021. She also went on to use a slew of hate towards the Jewish community before adding, "How is it any different from hating someone for their political views?" The actress later came under fire again when she decided to make fun of transgender people on Twitter by saying she preferred the pronouns beep, bop, boop. In the wake of her anti-Semitic comments, the hashtag #FiredGinaCarano began to trend on Twitter, which resulted in Disney to sever ties with her, and her management company United Talent Agency dropped her as a client as well. And where are you gonna go without your agency? Nowhere. Number 4, Chrissy Teigen. Actor ex-swimsuit model Chrissy Teigen was accused of bullying Courtney Stodden in the beginning of 2011 after Courtney was 16 and married 51-year-old Lost actor Doug Hutchinson. Courtney would claim that Chrissy wouldn't just tweet her things about her needing to take a dirt nap, but the model would also tell Courtney she wished she would just pass away in her DMs. Courtney would then spark fashion designer Michael Cotello and teen mom Brera Abraham to come out with their stories where they claimed Teigen bullied them as well. Teigen then quit her role as a narrator on the hit show Never Have I Ever, and she was then replaced by Gigi Hadid. It was then reported that her cookware line disappeared from Macy's and that Bloomingdale's had dropped her from their deal. Chrissy also had to back out of a planned cleaning products line that she was working on with Kris Jenner. Chrissy then tried to apologize to everyone including Courtney, but the apology just wasn't genuine, and it was more just an attempt she made to try to save her career. Number 3, Matt Damon. When Matt Damon infuriated the LGBTQ+ advocates when he told the Sunday Times of London in August of 2021 that one of his daughters had taken him to task months ago for using a homophobic slur in a joke, the 51-year-old actor then went on to defend the comments in a statement, later claiming that the Times interview led many to assume the worst, and then he went on to say that he never called anyone that word in his personal life, and it was just a conversation that he was having with his daughter, and it was not a personal awakening, before claiming he doesn't use any types of slurs towards anyone. While Matt went on to receive a huge amount of hate online, he hurt many fans in the process, and because of this, the actor hasn't really gotten many gigs in acting and directing. As the scandal did break, Matt was promoting his film Stillwater, which took in a disappointing $2 million at the box office, and The Last Duel also flopped as it earned just $30 million. Meaning, Matt won't be offered any directing gigs anytime soon because he's costing production companies an insane amount of money because his films aren't living up to what it's bringing in. Number 2, we have Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle was slammed for making jokes about the LGBTQ+ community in October of 2021. Netflix special The Closer. GLAAD then released a statement saying Dave Chappelle's brand has become synonymous with ridiculing trans people and other marginalized communities. Dave would then be booed and protested by some students when visiting his high school in Washington, D.C., and in February it would be announced that Dave would be producing 4 more comedy specials. And then he went on to shrug off all his backlash by saying, "Is this what's being cancelled is like? I love it." He has since continued to perform and was nominated for a 2022 Grammy, but more and more people continue to refuse to work with the star, and I don't blame them. And coming in number 1 today, we have J.K. Rowling. Harry Potter author caused a storm with her social media post about the transgender community, starting in 2019 when she supported a British woman who was fired from her job after making transphobic tweets. 6 months later, J.K. then piled on with her own snarky tweet about menstruation. She then went on to pen an essay on her personal website explaining her position but not putting out any fires. In addition to ongoing backlash, fans and Harry Potter stars Daniel Radcliffe, Emma Watson, Rupert Grint have all taken the author to task, to the point JK even skipped the HBO reunion special for the 20th anniversary. Even with her cancellation, it seems like the author is just becoming richer as she continues to make deals and produce more movies in the franchise she created. Starting in at number 10, we have Antonio Brown. Former NFL wide receiver Antonio Brown would find himself under fire from fans and other celebrities after he chose to stand by Kanye West after Kanye made some anti-Semitic comments. Antonio, who played in the NFL back in 2021, said he will still remain in his role as president for Donda Sports, which is Kanye's sport agency. With Antonio remaining true to its mission of Donda, he's also channeled his buddy's controversial campaign by saying and supporting Kanye's WLM movement. Kanye has had a lot of criticism over his WLM shirt that he wore during his Yeezy fashion show. Despite the negative reactions, he has still gone on to make headlines for anti-Semitic comments. Overall, the controversy, both Antonio and Kanye have started to become really close friends, and they've even started to work on some music with each other. It also seems like Kanye isn't the only one doing some pretty odd things lately, as Brown has had his own share of controversy when a video that was released back in October showed himself exposing himself to a woman in Dubai. With Antonio calling Kanye's comments reactionary and selective outrage, he will continue to bring his new ideas, experiences in design to our world while remaining in support of the humanity Kanye is bringing into the world. Number 9. Kim Kardashian. While we all notice the prospect of an epic, especially revolting fashion industry scandal unfolding, the response of some of the world's biggest celebrities caused many of us to be dumbfounded for continuing to support Cedric Charbit and the brand he represents as the CEO for Balenciaga. Just days before America's Thanksgiving holiday, the fashion house of Balenciaga would trigger some major backlash for its 2022 holiday advertising campaign, which toyed with some of the most deprived evils known to man, with the campaign exploiting children when the photos emerged of little girls holding onto handbags that were shaped like teddy bears, wearing some pretty outrageous gear, and a childlike drawing of a devil. We were all left feeling sick. At the end of the controversy, Balenciaga would try to claim that their plush bear bag should have never featured children in its campaign, and that they had no idea that the advertisement contained these images because they never approved the images. However, knowing that all companies have the final say to anything hitting the media, we all knew this was one giant lie made for the company to try to save their reputation. Kim Kardashian still choosing to stand by Balenciaga, a brand she seems to get all of her leotarded gloved outfits from. After days of being silent, she would say, "I appreciate Balenciaga's removal of the campaign and apology. In speaking with them, I believe they understand the seriousness of the issue and will take necessary measures for this to never happen again." While Kim has decided that she will be re-evaluating her relationship with the brand, many of us have been disgusted at the fact that Kim is being a coward for not immediately cutting ties off with the brand, and we're honestly all disappointed that she is a grown-up with her own children who should be protecting other children, but instead she's failing to protect the most innocent and vulnerable by supporting a brand that is always out here showing huge levels of controversy consistently. Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, Diddy. When Diddy decided to hop on the newest train in pop culture that revolved around cancel culture, many fans were pretty disappointed in his decision. When Diddy went on to say, "As a music family, none of us are saints, none of us are out here without things that happen to them in life." When the 2022 Billboard Music Awards came around, Diddy squarely stood behind Org's decision to invite Travis Scott and Morgan Wallen to perform. While explaining that one of the things he wants to do is cancel the uncancel, as the trend needs to be stopped, he would also go on to say that Travis went through a tragedy and Morgan hurled the N-word while talking to his boy. People make mistakes. Now we're moving forward on with love and respect for everybody that was hurt or affected. It's time to forgive. However, some actions are just unforgivable. As Morgan had been cancelled from 7 award shows last year, after the incident rose, his music sales would actually rise during the period. As for Travis Scott, on the other hand, he pretty much was sidelined for months after the Astroworld tragedy, having 100,000 people present, and asking them to search the stage and ignoring an ambulance in the crowd was just disappointing to see, and the fact that he is out here supporting it is just heartbreaking. Number 7, Bella Thorne. So last year when Armie Hammer's fantasies were exposed and some unverified screenshots would show Armie making some pretty serious claims when it came to his fantasies, although the topic was trending online, many celebrities choose to remain silent about the situation except for actor Bella Thorne, who took to her Instagram to defend. She would say, "I honestly can't believe this. People are crazy to fake this kind of stuff. Poor guy and his kids, like, leave his family alone. No way, he's a freak. Also, there's a million fake screenshots going around." People would certainly begin to criticize Bella's support by saying Bella Thorne is trash. How do some people still not see this? And Bella, Armie probably wasn't thinking about the good of his children when he told these girls about his fantasies. With Bella believing that she had more insight and wisdom when it came around to how Armie Hammer used his power to push boundaries with other women, the fact that she can sit here and claim that she's an ally to women and survivors, but doesn't let women have the chance chance to share their stories before claiming it as fake DMs caused a lot of people to tell the star that no one actually asked for her opinion. Coming in at number 6, we have Bill Gates. When Bill Gates admitted that he was fundraising meetings that were held with late billionaire GE, he would discuss that the role that his relationship had with Jeffrey played a huge part in his divorce with Melinda Gates. When Bill sat down with Sunday Times, he would say that he didn't realize that by having those meetings, it would be seen as giving Jeffrey credibility. You're almost saying I forgive that type of behavior or something so clearly that the way it's seen that I made a huge mistake not understanding that. With Melinda speaking publicly about her separation from Bill, she would tell CBS that many things ultimately contributed to her decision to end the pair's marriage. She would then reveal a bunch of secrets that included that there were whispers for years about Gates' extramarital relationships for people who work for him, and that his behavior was known as an open secret. Bill has always been scheduling off-site meetings that weren't on his calendar with Jeffrey, having multiple employees of Bill and Melinda's foundation visit his mansion and speak to the foundation about a proposed dollar charitable fund after he served jail time.
Number 5. Ellen DeGeneres. Ellen had one of the most successful daytime talk shows of all time until 2020. Her show became overwhelmed with accusations of toxic work environment from former employees. They were claiming that Ellen's happy exterior was nothing more than a facade put in place to keep the audience on her team. A small bit of proof came when she accused 50 Shades of Grey actress Dakota Johnson of not inviting her to a birthday party a few months prior. Dakota reminded her that she had in fact sent an invitation and received a notice from her producer that said that she didn't want to attend. Fans began questioning the awkward moment, and the cracks in her appearance grew bigger and bigger. Eventually, an article was released containing testimonies from several former employees, with too many stories to have been a false narrative. Ellen canceled herself by denying every single thing that she was being accused of instead of just acknowledging her faults and missteps as a boss. Instead, Ellen's fans took to Twitter demanding that she respond to the articles and the claims that she was herself a short-tempered tyrant. Well, she didn't respond as you may think with like a public apology. No, instead she was forced to cancel both herself and her show amid the controversy and has been on a hiatus ever since. Oh well, more time for Kelly Clarkson. Number 4, J.K. Rowling. Alright, all you Harry Potter fans, cover your ears cause this one sucks. J.K. Rowling is known for being the author of the much-loved Harry Potter book series that was eventually adapted into 7 gloriously magical movies and Order of the Phoenix. In June 2020, Rowling retweeted an op-ed piece that discussed people who menstruate, apparently taking issue with the fact that the article did not use the word women. She tweeted, "People who menstruate. I'm sure there used to be a word for those people. Someone help me out. Woman, wimpund, womud." Oh man, every time I read that, the steam comes out of my ears. I don't like this woman. While this tweet garnered massive amounts of backlash from fans, Rowling doubled down on her views in more detail. She tweeted out, "If gender isn't real, there is no same-gender attraction. I know and love trans people, but erasing the concept of gender removes the ability of many to meaningfully discuss their lives." Okay. She went on to say she respected trans people's right to live any way that feels authentic to them. At the same time, my life has been shaped by being a female. She then claimed that it wasn't wrong to speak the truth and be proud of your opinions, but hey, yeah, it is. Everyone in the world called JK out for her comments and views, with the live-action Harry Potter stars even taking to Twitter to call out her behavior and stand with the trans community. JK's publishers dropped her from their rosters, and the future of her writing career has gone up in smoke like it was straight out of the Death Eater's bum bum. If she had just kept her opinions to herself, maybe The Cursed Child would be an awesome movie instead of an okay play. Just saying, JK, go away, let us do stuff with your properties, please. Number 3, Dave Chappelle. Dave Chappelle dominated the comedy scene in the 1990s and early 2000s. His stand-up was considered to be the most gut-busting and entertaining around, and his role in films like The Nutty Professor, Robin Hood Men in Tights, and the cult classic Half-Baked made him a massive star. He took a bit of a break from starring in films to focus on his family life and his true passion, stand-up comedy. Despite being on stage for over 12 years though, Dave never really learned to follow suit with the times. There were just, certain topics that have become rude to joke about, and many jokes considered to be funny in the 80s and 90s just haven't aged well. Oh, who'da thunk it? Well, unfortunately, that seems to be all the material that Dave has. In one of his most recent Netflix specials, Dave decided that it was his time and his stage and he could do whatever he wants. So apparently what he wanted to do was make fun of the LGBTQ+ community, spewing trash jokes not worth quoting or repeating or looking up. So if you're curious how bad it was, let me just sum it up by saying they were rough enough to have Dave's fans turn on him immediately. Netflix co-CEO Ted Sarandos actually defended the comedian, claiming that he he had artistic freedom, even after a group of Netflix employees and transgender advocates staged a virtual walkout. He later apologized and said that he handled the situation poorly. Oh, poor Ted accidentally supporting a bigot. Number 2, Will Smith. Whoa, Will Smith canceled himself? How? Yeah, I'm just kidding. We all know this one by now. In 2022, Chris Rock was hosting the 94th annual Oscar ceremony when he decided to make a little joke about Jada Pinkett Smith and her hair loss. Rock expressed his excitement to see Jada in a fictional G.I. Jane movie. Immediately following the joke, which landed for everybody else in the audience, Rock stood in confusion as Will Smith made his way to the stage. Will adjusted his jacket, he took a firm, strong stance, and then he just clocked Chris right in the face. He winded up his hand first to conjure the ultimate amount of force. It was kind of impressive. Initially being seen as a planned joke between the two, Will then began shouting several times at Rock to keep his wife's name out of his frickin' mouth. Chris handled the situation well. He kept his cool, he laughed it off for the cameras, and he brought out the next award presenter. He was a gem, he did it so well. He was professional and quick to get the night back on track. Unfortunately though, an hour later, Will Smith won the Oscar for Best Actor in a Leading Role. He played Richard Williams, the father of tennis superstars Venus and Serena Williams. During his speech, he gave a half-hearted apology for his actions before claiming the situation was due to his months of portraying the father on set, leaving him with an extreme paternal sense to protect his family. Unfortunately for Will, that slap was enough to get him banned from the Oscars. On top of that, he seemingly canceled himself, now being seen as an aggressive man with no impulse control. He was fired from upcoming projects, and he currently sits at home all day polishing his one and only Oscar next to a single candle in the darkest room of his mansion. And at number 1, Kanye West. Hey look, it's Cancelled McGee! Man, I love Kanye West. Whenever it comes to the worst celebrities that have ruined their own careers, this guy is always gonna be number 1. Now, I've written a small poem inspired by Dr. Seuss just to remind the viewers at home exactly what Kanye did to get cancelled. So, here we go. Ye was a rapper who lived in LA. He decided to ruin his rep though one day. He typed and he clicked to his little heart's content. He said racist stuff. He needed to vent. He posted to Twitter to share all his woes. The world said no thank you, it's time that he goes. He was cancelled and soiled his semi-good name. He chose anger and hate over fortune and fame. His clothes all got burned and his wife left his home. No more sponsors, no more Kim. Kanye was alone. What was worse still, keeping Ye in the dumps? His only friend got arrested. Poor Donald Trump. Number 10, Gina Carano. Gina was slowly building a name for herself in the early 2010s as a woman to be feared on screen, portraying characters like Riley Hicks in the Fast and Furious franchise, and her most recent role as Cara Dune in The Mandalorian, a series that has decided to move on without Ms. Carano on set, for the simple fact that she is just very misguided on her views towards everything in existence. In 2021, Carano made a series of politically charged social media posts, the most damning of which came when she compared modern American political polarization to camps in Germany in 1945. Those are very different things. She has also mocked the usage of face coverings during 2020 and was one of the many celebrities who were claiming voter fraud following Donald Trump's loss during election time. To throw the cherry on top of the trash sundae she was making, Gina also made her opinions on pronouns known, claiming that hers were beep boop beep boop. Yeah, well hey, beep this out. You, Gina! All of this combined eventually culminated in the hashtag FireGinaCarano on Twitter, which began trending fast, forcing Disney as well as her management company to cut their ties with Gina. Needless to say, The Mandalorian is doing just fine without her, and the rest of Hollywood is glad that she dug herself into a deep, dark, cringy grave. Number 9, Shia LaBeouf. Shia has been a controversial celebrity over the years for sure, becoming famous as one of the hardest people to work with in Hollywood history. Like many bad apples in LA, Shia got his start on the Disney Channel. At the turn of the century, Disney released a little show called The Even Stevens. The series followed the titular Stevens family with a focus on the kids Ren and Louis, played by Christy Romano and Shia LaBeouf. The show is considered to be one of Disney's best, spanning 3 seasons and spawning an Even Stevens movie that is still one of the greatest pieces of cinema ever released. These days, Shia has adopted more of a mountain man look. He always looks like he's got a big bushy beard whenever he can, and he has gone from bright and youthful to just tired tired and annoyed. I feel that, man. Following the show's end, Shia kept his acting career going strong, appearing in much-loved classics like Holes as main character Stanley Yelnats, but it wasn't until his casting in the live-action Transformers series that he began to descend into madness. Since 2007, Shia's behavior as both an actor and a person has been getting worse and worse. His fellow actors have reported that Shia takes method acting way too far and smells terrible on set, not to mention the several public art displays that he gifted the world in the mid-2000s. Oh, and who could forget his passionate, motivational video where he told us that nothing was impossible and we could just do it! While he may still be working today, he's usually the one that's like backing the projects he's in. In the eyes of Hollywood and, well, from most of us, Shia canceled himself the minute he stood in front of a green screen and yelled at the top of his lungs, "Do it! Nothing is impossible!" Number 8. DaBaby. The rapper formerly known as Baby Jesus, and I will always remind you of that because that is a weird fact. DaBaby has always had a bad boy streak in the music industry. He's known for dropping some choice expletives on stage all the time, and even makes fun of his fans right to their faces. This unfortunately culminated in him deciding that it was appropriate to joke about a certain disease that's unnecessarily linked to the gay community. On stage, he told his fans to put up their cell phones if they didn't have any STIs. Honestly, he said a lot of weird stuff before saying the words "put your phones in the air" like he was playing some kind of a massive game of Guess Who. It's like, alright, if you have brown hair, put your hair. No, it's just weird. Just don't do that to people. Of course, he was torn to shreds by the LGBTQ+ community, including icons Elton John, Madonna, and one of his collaborators, Dua Lipa. Not only did he cancel himself, but he was actually set to release a clothing line with fashion brand Boohoo Man, but they backed out following the public outcry. To top it all off, two of his biggest performances set to take place at Lollapalooza and a concert in Atlanta were cancelled amid the flurry of complaint calls and emails that the venue had been receiving. DaBaby actually called himself cancelled on Twitter, joking about the whole situation while just one single tear rolled down his face. Number 7. James Franco. James has placed himself in a little bubble of public exile for using his powers for evil. The man behind some iconic characters like his portrayal as the real-life filmmaker Tommy Wiseau, or his role as Harry Osborn in the original Spider-Man trilogy, or just so many more. He seemed to be on the way to a long, successful career following multiple collaborations with longtime friend Seth Rogen, as well as his turn in more serious roles like True Story as a man on death row telling his tale of woe to a writer played by Jonah Hill. Apparently though, James has a problem keeping his hands to himself, especially when it comes to his acting students. In 2018, 5 female students at his Studio 4 acting school in North Hollywood told the Los Angeles Times that Franco had parlayed his position to exploit them physically. 2 of those women sued, and Franco was forced to settle outside of court and fork over $2.23 million. At that time, he was writing, acting, and directing a show for HBO called The Deuce, which, you know, he was allowed to stay on and finish because hey, it was being cancelled anyway. Not only did fans call for the cancellation of the series, but the public outcry forced Seth Rogen to drop his longtime pal, telling the Times of London that the scandal had changed their relationship and he had no plans to collaborate with James anytime in the near future. So there's a simple lesson to this one, folks. If you don't want to cancel yourself, keep your hands to yourselves. Number 6. Chrissy Teigen. Chrissy canceled herself by being the meaniest, bobiniest woman on the internet. In May of 2020, an individual by the name of Courtney Stodden, a pageant model and media personality, claimed that fellow model and media star Chrissy Teigen had publicly bullied them online for years. Chrissy was accused of regularly tweeting that she wished Courtney would just take a permanent dirt nap, or straight up just end herself. Find a bridge and just Apparently Chrissy harbored some kind of jealousy towards Courtney's success and decided to take it online instead of, just not publicizing her personal problems. Chrissy quickly apologized for the tweets and DMs, which were sent as recently as 2019. In one of her last posts, she tweeted, "I'm sad and mortified at who I used to be. I was an insecure, attention-seeking troll, and I'm ashamed and completely embarrassed at my behavior. But that is nothing compared to how I made Courtney feel." Chrissy then decided to delete her social medias, because that makes you look good, following a slew of backlash of her actions, eventually leading to her being fired or leaving any job that she had both on and off the screen. Next time, Chrissy, just keep your jealousy balled up deep inside of you like the rest of us, eh? Maybe you'd still have a career. Just maybe. Just a little bit.
And number 5, Sharon Osbourne. When Piers Morgan voiced his disbelief in what Meghan Markle had to say about her mental health to Oprah, he would face the wrath of thousands of fans. When Sharon Osbourne would tweet her support for her longtime friend, this would cause and confrontation with the talk co-host Cheryl Underwood, who would then ask Osbourne on air if she was a racist. Shortly after, the two would engage in this huge altercation, and the conflict would start an investigation by CBS, which would force Sharon to apologize. Sharon, in writing, would then say, "To anyone of color that I offended, or to anyone that feels confused or let down by what I said, I'm truly sorry," she wrote in a statement. "I panicked, felt blindsided, got defensive, and allowed my fear and horror of being accused of being a racist take over." After her statement in support for Piers Morgan continued, she would face further claims by her colleagues' remarks, which some she would go on to admit to and some she would deny. Osbourne would then join her friend Piers on Talk TV, where the presenters hold nothing back and say what they feel, and not following one party at all. And number 4, James Charles. After Charli D'Amelio uploaded a YouTube video that many people considered offensive, as it showed her and her sister Dixie spitting out food in front of a personal chef, many users would deem it inappropriate. James Charles, who was also at the dinner, wouldn't be called out for any inappropriate behavior, surprisingly, like Charli and Dixie. However, that didn't stop him from speaking his mind about cancel culture and the D'Amelios dropping followers. James would go on to say, "The Charli situation is not sitting right with me right now. 100 million followers in 1 year, and y'all expect her to know how to be a perfect role model?" Backlash because she's a picky eater, and made a joke about milestones. 30-plus-year-olds dragging someone half their age. Feels familiar. However, I think a lot of people weren't upset about the fact that the girls didn't like the food, but the fact that they were beginning to spit up the food in front of the chef and making hurtful comments about it. The fact James tried to support this toxic behavior is just a little outrageous, because even with age, you can't justify someone's poor table manners, because we were all taught better to react during these situations at a young age. And number 3, Boosie. After the baby made some homophobic remarks during his set at the 2021 Rolling Loud Festival in Miami, Boosie would take to his Instagram Live to rant about the displeasure of people canceling the baby over his remarks. Shortly after the baby's performance, even Lil Nas would make a joke that him and Jack Harlow would be wearing nothing during the VMA's performance while performing Industry Baby for charity, and this also really didn't sit well with Boosie, as he would claim no one should be picking sides over the baby saying some wild things. Boosie definitely wasn't done with his rant, and he would continue on in another video about his outrage over Lil Nas's announcement, with several artists, including thousands of fans, speaking out against the baby's extremely hurtful remarks that were made. All Boosie did was add more fuel and stigma to the discrimination that surrounds the LGBTQ community. The mistruths that were used by the baby and supported by Boosie had no place in society, and the fact that the musicians used their voice to spread so much hate towards the most marginalized people in our community is just saddening. Boosie's out here saying people shouldn't be taking sides, yet he took sides to spread hate instead of using his voice for good. At number 2, Bo Derek. Now, the Kardashian family has been slammed for blackfishing for years, especially when it comes to their braids. When Kim Kardashian West was accused of cultural appropriation after crediting actress Bo Derek as the inspiration behind her box braids, she would even go on to credit the braids as Bo Derek braids. Now, Bo Derek would come to the star's defense. So Bo Derek, who is now 61, wore her hair like this while she was in the 1979 film 10, which featured the star running down a beach. Bo Derek would take to her Twitter account to say, "Hey, it's just a hairstyle that I worked on in the movie 10. Kim Kardashian calls it Bo Derek braids because she copied my pattern of braids. I copied it from Anne Margaret's backup singer from her Las Vegas show. And we all copy Queen Nefertari. I hope Her Royal Highness is flattered." While Derek has referred to the Egyptian queen, the two came under fire for not recognizing the styles and the history and origins and framing the looks as something new or edgy. Many people have been forced to cut their braids out to play sports or even to attend class, so both celebrities not understanding the hurt braids can cause was the concept of culture vulturing, and it was pretty disappointing to see. And at number 1 today, we have Nikita Dragun. When the drama between James Charles and Tati Westbrook erupted online, things would become more complicated after Tati would reveal James was manipulating men that were still emerging into adulthood. Tati would also reveal that James was was spreading lies about her and betraying her after she spent years helping him with his brand. After Nikita Dragun showed the screenshots that Sugar Bear agreed to give Charles influencer tickets if he did a promotion, she would force herself into a situation that definitely didn't look good on her image. Especially when James told Tati he was being swarmed by crazy fans to even get those tickets. Over the years, James has become a huge controversial figure, and Nikita has consistently defended the star and has stayed by his side in the wake of all his bad behavior. With James manipulating younger men, Nikita couldn't even understand the gravity of those topics, and she's continued to support James even when more of the situation became to come into light. Starting off our list today at number 10, we have Will Smith. The whole world has been talking about the infamous slap that happened at the 2023 Oscars, to the point it's just old and everyone needs to stop talking about it. However, with a handful of celebrities such as Jim Carrey, Amy Schumer, Zoe Kravitz, and many more speaking out about Will's actions, it has caused Hollywood to turn their backs on this brilliant actor, and it would start the cancellation process of Will Smith. Sony would then announce that they would have to put Bad Boys 4 on hold, and Netflix would also backburn Fast and Loose. CAA then started to discuss if they should drop Will as a client. Smith then canceled himself by quitting the Academy, and the Academy then went on to ban him from attending the ceremony for the next 10 years. And we still don't know what this means for the star within this period of time, and we're just going to have to wait and see. Number 9, James Franco. Back in 2014, James would be exposed for going on Instagram and asking a girl when he was outside a theater in New York if she was 18. She then told the actor she was actually 17. He then went on to ask her the name of the hotel she was staying at and if he should get a room in the same hotel as well. Later in an interview on ABC Live with Kelly and Michael, the actor would then explain the encounter by saying, "I used bad judgment and I learned my lesson." Then in 2018, 4 female students from his Studio 4 acting school in North Hollywood told Los Angeles Times that James had compromised his position as a teacher to make unwanted moves and exploit them. With 2 of those girls going on to sue James, the actor would then have to fork out $2.23 million after he settled the case. Seth Rogen, his longtime collaborator and pal, also went on to drop James, and he would later tell the Times at London that the scandal changed his relationship and that he had no plans to work with Franco in the future, which became the end of the pair's 20-year partnership. James then made an appearance on the Jess Cagle podcast in 2021, where he admitted that he slept with his acting prodigies and that it was wrong, before claiming he had struggled with addiction and that being dismissed by Seth was actually a really hurtful experience for him to go through. Hey my little peaches, are you liking this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming back to our list, in the number 8 spot, we have Kanye West. It's hard to know where to start with Kanye West's long list of controversies, as not only has the star been accused of cyberbullying his ex-wife Kim Kardashian and her old partner Pete Davidson, but he's also made some anti-Semitic statements that has everyone wondering if the star is really doing this as a cry for help. Kanye's obsession with trying to control and manipulate the situation has caused his career to plummet, and he lost out on huge business deals not only with Gap and Adidas, but also with Balenciaga. On top of that, he was even dropped by his agent. Now, it's unclear with how long the rapper will be canceled for, but one thing is for sure is that even when we should be keeping him out of the spotlight, outlets just keep scheduling interviews and pushing him to his limits, to the point his unhinged moments have become more unhinged, and every time it's like we see something we've never seen before. Number 7, Armie Hammer. Armie Hammer has been pinned by some disturbing allegations from his former flame, Effie Angel Nova, when she accused him of making unwanted advances and fantasizing about cannibalism. And then another ex would claim that Armie carved an A into her pelvis, and that he even asked her to have a rib removed surgically so he could eat it. And if things couldn't get any worse, an app developer who dated Armie for 5 months in 2020 also made the same claims, and on top of that, she said the actor liked the idea of having skin in his teeth. Now, Armie's lawyers have gone on to deny all the allegations by saying any interactions with any of his partners were completely consensual and that they were fully discussed, agreed upon, and it was a mutual participation. After the allegations were released, the divorced dad would go on to be dropped out of the film Shotgun Wedding, the Paramount Plus series The Offer, and the Broadway show The Minutes. In February 2022, a close friend to the actor would then tell the Post that his acting career should be coming back any day now, but that still hasn't happened and it probably won't. Number 6, The Baby. When The Baby was caught making homophobic remarks at a music festival in Miami back in 2021, he would end his career after he made some comments that dissed the LGBTQ+ community. Then later he went to try to clarify his views, and he only dug his hole even deeper to crawl out of after he doubled down on his claims. So the baby then got ripped apart by the LGBTQ+ community, and even celebrities like Madonna, Elton John, and Dua Lipa called him out for his insensitive comments. The fashion brand Boo Hoo Man even bolted on a deal they had with him. He would then find himself being booted from the 2022 Lollapalooza tour, and his concert in Atlanta was called off amid a flurry of cancellations for his concerts, including a radio station putting his music into a timeout. The baby then went on to embrace his plummeting stock and declared himself cancelled in a new version of his hit Whole Lotta Money, where he cries and laughs off his current situation. Number 5. Meg Ryan. At one point, Meg Ryan served up some of America's best and most memorable romantic comedies, and then one day she just seemed to disappear from the spotlight. It would all come after her marriage started to crumble, and then the headlines started to smear her name as they claimed she cheated on her husband while she was on set of Proof of Life. After the star cheated on her husband to get with Russell Crowe, she would find it really hard going forward to find work. Now, the actor wouldn't exactly disappear, but she has preferred to keep a low profile these days. And when she does work on set, most of her work is actually behind the camera as a producer and a director, which is honestly disappointing as her face deserves to be seen in front of the screen. Number 4. Drake Bell. Drake Bell used to be a major heartthrob in the 90s, but after he was accused of endangerment charges towards a younger person after a female victim claimed that she met him online and that he made unwanted advances towards her, he would then plead guilty, and every door in Hollywood would start to close the door on him. Eventually, the star would take to Instagram to address his recklessness and irresponsible text when he issued an apology to his fans, but then he also went on to claim that he wasn't telling us the claims were false, but that the state of Ohio actually proved that the claims were false. And if the claims were true, he wouldn't be at home with his wife and son. But then later, even Josh Peck would call out Drake Bell, and he would speak about their longtime feud that started when Drake called out the star for not being invited to his wedding. But pretty much, Drake then went on to say some hurtful things, and Josh even asked the star to apologize to his wife. Today, Drake has tried everything to stay away from the spotlight, but it just seems his name every now and then keeps getting smeared across the headlines. Number 3. Felicity Huffman. After the college admission scandal rocked the world largely because big-name celebrities were embroiled in the scheme, one of the most notable people caught in the falsifying documents was Felicity Huffman. And since she has avoided making public appearances, compared to other celebrities caught in the scandal, Felicity's legal woes seem to be far less severe because she took the responsibility for her actions in a guilty plea where she expressed genuine remorse. She then went on to serve 11 days of her 14-day jail sentence and paid a $30,000 fine and was required to work 250 hours of community service for paying $15,000 to save her daughter's SAT scores. After gaining sympathy from the public instead of rushing back to rebuild her Hollywood career, she has since been focused on helping others. Number 2. Lori Loughlin. Following the college admission scheme, Lori would find her name being embroiled within the mess, and with it, she would be ousted by Hallmark's parent company, Crown Media, after she was charged with conspiracy to commit mail fraud in connection with the scheme. When Lori appeared in court and was released on a $1 million bail, it would then be revealed that she and her husband agreed to pay $500,000 to guarantee that 2 of their daughters got into the University of Southern California as members of the road team, even though neither of them were athletes. The scandal would then impact Lori's career as Crown Media would announce it was cutting ties with the Full House star. Now, Lori was able to reprise her role in a Hallmark Christmas spin-off just after, but other than that, no one's been throwing roles her way, and it's probably for a good reason, as you can't cheat your way through life just because you have money. And coming in number 1 today, we have Thomas Gibson. In August of 2016, Thomas Gibson would be involved in an on-set altercation with Virgil Williams, a writer and producer of the show Criminal Minds. While Thomas was directing an episode of the show, he apparently kicked Williams and was initially suspended for 2 episodes. Thomas would then release his own statement by saying, "There were creative differences on set and a disagreement. I regret that occurred. We all want to work together as a team to make the best show possible. We always have and always will." Later that week, ABC Studios and CBS would then announce that Thomas had been ultimately fired, and it would then be stated that this wasn't his first altercation on the set, as he was even forced to attend anger management classes in the past. When the studio realized it wasn't helping, they ultimately made the decision so they could keep everyone on set safe because he just couldn't keep his hands to himself.